see any dancing going on except for a little bunny ear bopping
I love our
around.
countdown.
All right, welcome tonight, our last evening of, not our last evening of the Groomer's Cut, but of behavior. So we've got to my, on my right and my left. This side, that side, Michelle Knowles. Chrissy Newmeyer-Smith is joining us this
Hey,
evening.
Chrissy.
Lovely Jennifer Bishop Jenkins, and over in the far corner there is our Playboy bunny herself, Melissa. Thank you for
Louise from
I'm Louise. I'm Louise. I'm here for comic relief and snarky comments.
Yes.
All right. I needed some snarky comments. So if you are new to the Pet Pro Educators, we are your Pet Pro Educators. This is the Groomer's Cut. We're live tonight. We are on 7, 8, 9 platforms. And if this is your first time, please give Facebook permission to StreamYard so we can see your name over in the chat. With all the platforms, everybody's going to be watching on different ones, so you might not see the questions we are getting. We will talk about them. We will put them out there. We will, hello, ladies and Bunny. And
hi, Lisa. Hi, Katie. Hi, Christina.
We'll
so good to see you
answer
guys.
all of those questions and talk about them. So tonight we are starting off or ending our evening with talking about safety and how it relates to behavioral issues. I finally got my internet back and working, and I got nothing to talk about right now, so I'll let you ladies take over.
I just want to say one thing first, which is now that Melissa has worn the bunny ears, the pink bunny ears, we are all going to have to think of, how do you top that? I'm going to have to, now I feel the challenge. I'm
tempted to go get my tiara.
Yeah,
I own a tiara. That's my husband's code that he has to leave me alone while I'm working as I wear a tiara.
Oh, see?
I
just made this background and I made 2 more. So just wait. Every week I have a different background to show how nerdy and strange I am. Look at Michelle's got her.
Yeah, okay, I'm getting the tiara then.
Are we going to be serious tonight or what?
It's not even Halloween. It's only August.
Oh, it's always Halloween at my house.
Great.
Oh, hold on.
That's great.
Look,
Hold
see,
on,
everybody, see, you.
This is the only thing.
That's why I'm friends with you guys.
This is the only thing I got.
Nice.
Oh, very nice.
There you go. Michelle has her little thing. Her little nurse's cap. Look at that.
That's all I got.
Wait,
Candy.
Michelle, who do you wear that for?
That was from Comic-Con. I'm a Monster Ranger.
Jennifer looks like she's going to play tennis.
Well, no, I was a lifeguard for many years. That's my
okay.
Yeah. I was a swim coach and a lifeguard, and that's my son.
You never know. Once you get to know me, Jennifer, you're just starting to get to know me. Michelle knows me. Michelle knows my level of crazy, and I let it show.
So cute.
You never know what I'm going to show.
And Chrissy, how in the world are you in possession of a
Tara
tiara,
knows it.
especially close to your computer? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like
It's
I said,
her
it's code.
well, she
It's her
calls
work
it
tiara.
her work one.
My husband works from home too, and he will come in and start talking to me. So now he checks for the tiara to know if it's okay to talk to me because the princess is busy.
Got it.
She also has rainbow forks and knives.
I do.
That's great.
Perfect. Life is way too short
But
to be serious all the
Melissa,
time. You should be having way more fun.
Do you wear that when you groom too? What do the dogs say?
I wear wigs. I wear bunny ears. Michelle, I used to wear a tiara. Michelle has seen me in a tiara before.
Mm-hmm.
Katie,
I let my freak flag fly.
Awesome.
Life is way too short to not have fun, and I'm here to have fun.
Amen, sister.
Katie has seen me come in heels and groom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen Michelle in heels grooming.
I used to groom in full hair,
Full makeup,
nails, makeup,
Oh,
Um,
that's
Crazy.
wow.
I
Where
absolutely
did you get
did.
the energy to do that?
I was much thinner at the time,
Yeah.
and I could walk around on those little sticks all day.
Oh my God. That's why
Yeah,
we all
I
have back
did.
problems now.
And this is why we're talking behavior and the relationship.
Safe and
I'm poorly behaved.
Behavior and safety.
Safety.
Don't wear heels when you're
Yes.
grooming.
Yeah. Oh,
You
that's
can't wear
true.
bunny
No,
ears.
trust me, it was appropriate at the time. It was appropriate
Yes.
because
Yeah.
Michelle was in the groove putting on her show. So I had to be the manager, the greeter, the this, the that, and blah. It was a show, baby.
They're my
Put it
safety
on.
heels.
Yeah.
Safety heels.
My safety heels,
They
damn
weren't
it.
stilettos. They weren't stilettos by any means. It was a dress shoe. It was absolutely a dress shoe.
Oh, that's great.
No platforms? Come on.
They were
I
all
mean,
shook
some grooming
compliant.
shops have poles in them, Michelle.
My tips were amazing. Yeah, I spun it good. I did the very best I could.
You know, back with my sword fighting
Yeah.
days, you know, like there were
Yeah.
times where I was like, if only I had a gauntlet to wear with this dog. Should have brought
I
the
love it.
gauntlets.
All right, I'm going to come over and jump over here. Okay, so
So-
we've got Katie said, yes, she used to sing and make up words herself to sing to the dogs. And the
Oh, I
only
did it all day.
hear it, and they'd be like, where's that groomer that sings to my dog? Will she
Yeah.
tell me, will she teach me that song? Oh my
That's
gosh.
great.
Okay. And Lisa wants to know if your tips were bigger, Michelle.
Absolutely. That was actually the point in time where we were closing up Christmas Eve. And
That's when you get all crazy. It's
well, no, it was
always
the end.
Christmas
It
Eve.
was the end of business that day. Everything was almost all the way done. I had not locked the front door. A young lady comes in tears. Her one job for the family party was to get the dog groomed, standard poodle. And she's just in tears. You have to groom my dog. No one else is open. You're the only one. The door's still open. Please, please. We'd already mopped and everything. I said, sweetheart, it would take $800 cash money to make me open this salon for you right this second. She opened her Louis Vuitton. Flip, 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 flip. I said, I'll be one moment. You can hit here. Here's a magazine. Would you like some water? And I went back and did that. Now, I never saw her again, but I absolutely got paid for my time that Christmas Eve for sure.
Yes, indeed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That might
Yeah,
be
it
a
was-
Christmas topic.
It was during that
Boy.
era of my grooming career.
Oh, God.
It was the Christmas
All right.
miracle.
Or the Christmas curse.
Groomer Jen's.
And Michelle, you got
I'm
your
sorry,
ring.
we've lost control of this entire show tonight.
Totally. I
Totally off topic.
mean, totally.
So, well, I will
See what
I will
Chrissy does.
be
She brings
responsive to a comment. Groomer Jen says that she listens to Spotify and podcasts and things like that, and that she's going to start Chrissy, your podcast tomorrow.
Oh,
So-
excellent.
And I'm going to be on. I'm so excited. I'm going to be on the Groom Pod.
Ooh,
I've been.
fun.
I'm so that's like the great. Just to be in the same electronic vicinity as Barbara Bird is like. Ah. Yeah. So
Yep,
I'm very excited.
Fangirl over Barbara.
I
Yeah.
am a major fangirl. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on that show a couple times, and she.
It's
called
only
me for help
because
with a
I was a
dog,
fangirl
and I
of
fangirled like
Michelle
crazy.
Knowles first.
Yeah,
started
I'm a
with Michelle
fangirl of all of
Knowles,
you
right.
guys, by the way. Total fangirl.
Chrissy, tell us really briefly about your podcast before we talk about dogs and behavior and
Okay.
safety.
Sure. So I do the Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast, which is where grooming and training meet. And so every week I put something out that's about 20 minutes long. So I try to do like 2 10-minute segments. These should be easy to do while you're like wearing headphones and drying dogs and wearing your ear protection. But it's specifically about the issues of behavior and working with owners and working with dogs and trying to bridge the gap between two fields that don't talk often enough. And I'm a certified behavior consultant for canines, as well as a certified professional groomer, which gives me just an interesting insight. It's a different way of looking at things. And I'm recruiting. So I want more people to learn about behavior. You know, I want more of that. You know, I want more trainers to learn about grooming.
Kind of helps that you have a master level.
Yes.
Course, too, a diploma program.
I do have that coming up, and that is so close to done. So excited.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, Chrissy, what would you say is the leading, like, if, you know, just to start from grooming and safety behavior issues 101, what's the number one rule of managing dog behavior safely?
So, as a dog trainer, and my goal is to boil things down into the most basic things that I should be able to explain to a child or to like Joe Schmo at the mechanics, you know, like that, but to be able to explain it to anybody. And I've broken it down to, I want you to think about as a goal that we want the dogs to be calm, comfortable, and cooperative, because that's what the ideal looks like, right? The dog who is a joy to groom happens to be calm, comfortable, and cooperative. So if we keep that in mind and we keep our efforts working toward that, for most people, it's easier to spot if a dog is calm or not, comfortable or not, cooperating or not, instead of like, is he stressed? And then we kind of go, well, I don't really know. I wouldn't say he's stressed, but he is panting and screaming and spinning in circles. You know, like but when we break it down into like calm, comfortable, and cooperative, a lot of other things happen at the same time. So if nobody gets anything else from anything that I teach, I would say having a goal in mind, because without it, we're the dog training version of I don't want him shaved. Right. What do we want for a haircut today? Not look like a poodle.
Analogy.
You know, like but that's not enough. We can be more specific.
Yeah.
So that's my basic. From there, it goes on and on.
So when they are not calm or comfortable or cooperative, what steps, how do you decide what that is, how to approach it?
So I like to start off with what their baseline is, but a lot of that comes from talking to owners first. You know, like, okay, we need to talk about what kind of experience your dog has had before, because if they're a year old and they've never been in a grooming shop, I need to know that. Because my goal is to help that dog remain calm, comfortable, and cooperative, which in tech talk is sub-threshold, the point where they're experiencing things, but they're not yet responding in a way that looks interesting. You know, like it should look like watching paint dry for them to be like, blah, blah, I can handle that and I can handle this. But often that means letting go of the idea of getting stuff done today. And I think that's where a lot of groomers feel pressured. So we need to talk to our owners and get some realistic conversation going, and help them understand that, okay, well, your dog might not be well prepared for our services today. And how can we help your dog remain calm, comfortable, and cooperative while we expand their comfort zone and help them to build on what they can handle?
So do you send them home for a reschedule if they're not at that place, or do you give them a break or take them on a walk, or do you talk to them or give them massages or whatever? What do you do?
There are a lot of different ways to handle it. So when I'm house call, what I do is I talk to owners ahead of time and say, like, okay, based on what you're telling me, you know, like this is what I think we should try to set up for your individual dog. But if it helps anybody here, I kind of break it down to like 3 questions we can ask our owners that will help them figure out on their own what the problem is. And one of those questions these are ways to assess a dog without even getting your hands on them. But one of those questions is, what does your dog do when he doesn't like something? Tell me what he does.
Yeah.
And then say, what does he do if he doesn't like something you're doing on him, to him, or near him? And then ask, what does he do if you don't stop? And because that's where a lot of groomers end up getting hurt, is the owners are like, well, I tell him no, and then we stop, you know, or they have never run into a point where the dog was uncomfortable. And that means that it's kind of a wild card. Or perhaps it's like one of those dogs that is so comfortable with everything. But if you start asking people those questions, like, what does he do if you don't stop? Then what do you think he will do when I don't stop? And that's when owners start to realize, I might not get a show poodle trim today, that this might not be realistic, but we want to help them. So I'm always trying to come from a place of, I want to help my owners. Mm-hmm. And that could be, this dog needs to go to the vet, something medical may be going on. That could be, I want to send you to a trainer. That could be, I want to send you to a groomer who has a different facility, because this might not be house call. This might be a grooming van, or this might be a shop environment, but to help them find what they need. And so that we can all kind of join forces, because I'm all about collaboration. We need to talk to each other, and it just makes the whole world go round. Owners will be very happy if we're all helping them.
One of the things I talk about a lot is being compassionate towards the people, the owners, towards the pet themselves. And what is compassion but to end suffering? So it doesn't, people get that they kind of get their panties in a wad over when you say suffering, because they think it has to be this huge, big suffering. But suffering can be, a mosquito bite.
Right.
Suffering can just be something where the dog is afraid, like something that to us is not a big deal. And it could be, the sound of the clipper or the dryer, or it's only, how many times have you heard groomers say, oh my gosh, stop with the drama. It's only water. Well, they've never been introduced to, the spray of the stream of water like that. And when you have compassion for the owner as well as the pet, that comes into play when you do your intake. And like Christy was saying, ask those kind of questions. What happens when your dog's uncomfortable? What has their grooming experiences been like? Oh, I've talked to people, and then you hear things like, oh yeah, I bring them out in the backyard and spray them down with the hose really hard, ice cold water. So of course they're not going to respond in a way that we think they should respond. So I think that, by flipping the script a little bit and listening to what Christy's saying, when you do your intake, you really need to kind of not be instantly on the defensive, because as groomers, a lot of times we're instantly in that mode where we're like, whatever they have to say, I'm not paying attention to, or I'm not putting any, credence to it, because I feel like they lie, or they don't tell me the truth, or they, fudge about this or that. But that has to be part of your job, is to pull that information out of them so that you can do everything you can for that pet to end any suffering for that animal and for the owner, so that they don't have to go to the next groomer and the next groomer and keep getting kicked out of shops, and they don't understand why their animal acts this way.
And that's why
my dream is for everybody, when they say, well, I'll try another groomer, to have another groomer say, what does your dog do when he doesn't like something? And to say the same kind of things, like, okay, well, but we need to help him be calm, comfortable, and cooperative. And we need to help him because he's going to live for 15 years. He's going to need monthly grooming for 15 years. And we can't let that be scary every time. And I would love if everybody was sending the same message out, because then they'd be like, what, are they all in on this together?
And that's why, and I think communication with the owner then is just, and as you say, Melissa, compassionate communication with the owner is so important, because we have to manage the expectation that if there is a behavior issue that is going to compromise safety in the groom, that we're going to prioritize the safety and not the artistry. The artistry might take a back seat to the safety. I mean, that's an absolute rule in my shop. If we can't do something safely and comfortably and cooperatively with the dog, then we just manage the expectations. Here's what we can do in this circumstance, and here's what we can't do. Because and as long as you explain to the owner that it's all born out of our heart, that we do not want to hurt them, we want to help them. And we don't want to do anything that's going to cause the animal discomfort. We want them to be, physically safe in the process of the groom, And we don't want to send them out, with, huge mats in the pads of their feet or something that's going to hurt them. We want to finish the groom, but as best we can, but we have to do it safely and prioritize that. Anybody that hears that from us, any groomer, prioritizing the well-being of the dog first and compassionate for their situation, instead of being angry about the mess that they've brought it in because I don't know what, we've been living in a pandemic and somebody in their house has been sick, or I don't know what kinds of tragedy. I mean, I've heard some amazing things that completely make me understandable. Yeah, that's why this dog hasn't been here in 3 months and is a solid matted mess.
Well,
So
and the average Joe has like elementary school understanding of animals as pets. They're really relying on us to tell them what's needed. That's not their field, right? I feel the same way when I talk to a friend who's a florist. I'm like, why is my spider plant dying? And she's like, why would you have it there? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It's a plant and I put it in the sun, so I have the same kind of, you have to be in touch with your inner beginner. Like I have the same kind of feeling toward, I don't know, why is my plant not doing well? But it's so clear to someone who's a professional. So if we can just remember that, people don't know that. They think mats are like, I don't know, something that's like growing in their dog's fur. They don't know that it's actually tangles. They have no idea. And so if we just spell it out and remember that doesn't make them dumb. My customers are very, very smart, capable people. And I have to start off believing that they want what's best for their dog.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Until somebody proves otherwise, we have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Seriously, though, you have to open that door, and if there's no good communication between you and the owner, you're going to really struggle with communication with the animal.
I love it. Angie, I agree with you. I love that, being in touch with your inner beginner. We love that. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
And know that, that they're not, everybody that comes in the groom shop is not somebody like, even on the level of groomers. Some groomers are here. Some groomers are here on their grooming journey. Other ones are here on their grooming journey. There are people like me that grew up with a brush in their hand. So I was exposed to dogs and cats from birth.
I think we do forget that as well.
Right.
We are so soaked in grooming and dogs and tools and stuff that to us it's like just taking another breath, but to these people they have just that one dog, this one life, this one experience. They
I can't tell you how often people say
as much as we have.
I can't tell you how often people say, boy, it's like he has a personality of his own. And I'm like, of course he does. I don't know. Some of these people, it's their first pet, even if they're in their 80s. Like it's their first pet. That's their first go around. They're like, well, we waited the full year before we brought him in, and we're blown away. But that's what somebody.
Yeah. How do we get in touch with the bad doodle breeders out there that are telling people they only need to be groomed once a year? What? That's just
or not at all.
Anybody that's watching, that's malarkey. They're just trying to sell you something. They're not telling you that you do actually need to spend a budget about $100 a month or whatever for the care of the grooming care of this dog. Yeah,
and that's the important part for us is we need to start thinking of our job as being an educator, even though you're behind that table. You're I believe part of your responsibility as a pet groomer is to educate the pet owner so that they understand the grooming needs. They understand the stresses of the groom, all that stuff, and basic care. Some people just don't know. And so it's up to us to make sure the vet doesn't really go over that kind of stuff. They just take care of whatever. Oh, yeah, they're getting their shot. Here's their shot. Okay, see you, in 8 weeks or what, whatever, or next year or whatever the cycle is of what they're seeing at the vet. But we see them so much more often. So I think
what I'm hearing from everybody here, the main common theme of our current topic is, how important is it to form a spot in your intake lobby or when you walk into a person's home or before you bring the dog back in the van? So many groomers that I've spoken with, they believe that communication starts when you get the dog on the table. Communication starts as soon as they walk in the door, and really a little bit before, because you're mentally prepared to receive them.
For me,
And when you
communication
do
starts
take
when I
them
call
in,
them.
yeah,
My
and when you
first
do take
call.
them in, I have an area with a table with a comb and a brush that you can actually put them on the table, look at the coat with them, and say, you know what, these are your options. I also have a file folder behind the front desk of all my periodicals. You know, hematoma, here you go. Fleas, here you go. You know, this, here you go. I've got something to put in their hand to educate them. You know, you don't have to do that. Some people like just one little booklet as an introductory for a new client. But everything's right there. So you could really have that discussion. And really, you're feeling the dog out as well. You're looking at their communication between them. Has it been coddled? You can see that right away. You don't even have to ask. You know what I mean? There's so much you can pick up on when you intake that dog, when you touch it or not, how they hand the leash to you, how the dog receives the leash being changed from hand to hand. All those little subtle things are really important pieces of information when you're assessing the relationship with your client and that dog. So,
and I think
And
as
how does that
groomers,
play
we
in,
catch
Chrissy?
on to it. What?
How does that play, what Michelle just said, how does
Well,
that play into the actual behavior and working with that animal?
Well, so much of the behavior part is being prepared for the behaviors you might find. And I think we as groomers pick up on a lot of these things intuitively, but when you understand it more and you can actually define it, you spot it better. So that you can kind of say, oh, I'm now noticing that dog is trying to scoot backwards away from his owner. Or that dog's trying to pull his way into my grooming shop. You know, like that we notice those things, but if we're able to really understand what we're looking for, we'll be able to spot it so much better. It's a big portion. Talking to the owners, huge. Yeah. I have a safety policy that I talk about at like any of the seminars that I've done, and it's on my podcast and stuff. Just a basic like, hey, this is the way I do business. Mm-hmm. It's not a business policy. It's not a legal contract, but you know what? I make my own customers sign it. Mm-hmm. Sign it so that you don't come back and go, she charged me anyway. Well, because we already defined that, you know, behavior is important. Sometimes we are a millimeter away from an injury. Mm-hmm. And all of our tools, if it can cut hair, it can cut a dog. Yeah, every single one of our tools can hurt a dog.
That's a great line. I like that. If it can cut hair, it can cut a dog. Amen to that. Yeah, that's right.
And a millimeter away from injury, a lot of owners gasp at that. They're like, oh, but can you get that piece around his lip? I'm like, remember what I said about a millimeter away from injury? You know, and I'm like, I can, but we need to work on that. You know, like this little piece next to his eye. Yeah, that's one of those little millimeter away. And just helping them understand why the safety is important, but also my safety is important. Your safety is important. Groomers should not be getting beat up at work like we do. Yeah. You know, I think a lot of people stop taking the baloney the first time they really get hurt and have that scare that they might have to find a new career. And I did that with a back injury years ago. That was my scare. Like, oh my God, what if I have to find a new career? You know?
Yeah. Can we just come over to comments really quick? Because I just want to comment to Groomer Jen. Where are you located? You can always, if you're close to New Hampshire, you're welcome to come to the school and do it.
Yeah, Groomer Jen, for those of you that can't see the comment, she's working on her CMG with IPG. Good for you. Yay, Groomer Jen. That she's having to become a doodle exclusive because that's all anybody has, but she's trying to get certified and can't find other breeds. You know, there are always show dog people also, in addition to if you're not close to Dara's school and you can't physically go there. I don't know where you are, Groomer Jen, but if you can, you could, you know, there's literally not a place in the country that doesn't have a kennel club, all breed local regional kennel club within an hour or two drive someplace. There are, you know, you can find these all breed kennel clubs listed at the American Kennel Club, akc.org website. You can punch in your zip code and find the closest group of show dog people and then offer to groom their dog for free. And that's how you get a nice poodle or cocker or Bichon or something to work on to certify with.
Yeah. And I don't know who Facebook user is, but successful, the communication and their intake is really good, the education and the intake. And then you call it table time. That's great. $45 a session. It lasts no more than 30 minutes.
Good.
Well, I like-
Because that's
as
what-
many times as it takes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lovely idea, actually.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, that's an amazing idea.
That's a real niche specialty, I would say,
Yeah.
for dogs that need that time, that need whatever they need in 30-minute increments. That's a really great idea. That's a good business model, I suppose. I mean, if that works out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that
Well, it
is.
takes the expectation of like completed grooming away and just says,
Mhm.
No stress about it. You're doing the best you can for 30
Yeah.
minutes, and then you're just okay, we'll try
Right.
again. And that actually does, Chrissy, spill over to dog training. It's short sessions, very consistently, and then you get through it. Oh my goodness, that kind of is a little bit genius. I'll throw it out there.
Facebook.
I do that with people. I'm like,
compliment you.
we're not gonna do a whole grooming, but we're gonna work on like half an hour worth or an hour worth and see how it goes. And you know, then they ask me, is this a training session or a grooming session? I'm like, I really don't have a line between those two.
Right, they're one and the same. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and Groomer Jen, you're in Utah, so there's only really one city in Utah. Come on, we all know that. The rest of it is just beautiful mountains and great salt lakes and things like that. So there's one city though. There's Salt Lake, and isn't that where like 70-80% of the state's population lives? So there's probably a kennel club pretty close to that anyway, or maybe even several.
I'm sure. Yeah, that should. I used to do the same thing. I used to groom for a lot of the kennel clubs.
They love free work.
Yes, they love free work, and it gave me the ability to, because I had a grooming school, and it gave me the ability to bring in breeds that my students wouldn't necessarily see on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
So contact your local kennel club if you're trying to certify in different breeds. They love to work with groomers. And they're always, and whatever particular breed it is, know that they are going to be specialists in those coats, in that, whatever that overall breed standard is going to look like. So those are the people you want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say something else that I do and bounce this off of you. I don't know, Chrissy, if you've tried this or if any of you all have tried this, but I actually have a model, and I'm very transparent. I made a decision when I built Love for Dogs in Glencoe, Illinois, my shop. I made a decision. I really wrestled between, I looked at different physical layouts of shops, and I decided very consciously to be fully transparent. People walking through, windows everywhere, you can see, you can hear. I went with a fully transparent model, none of this, hiding behind a wall that nobody can see. And I allow, we space them out so that there's not a bunch at once, and, we don't want to stress anybody in the shop, but we do have owners stay. And we have a batch of, I don't know, we probably got 20 or 30 regular owner stay clients where there's just such an extreme behavior issue, such an extreme fear. They've gone suddenly blind. I've had some dogs that they were fine, and then this whammo went suddenly blind, and mom needed to be there just to give the verbal reassurance. I've had some that have lost the ability to, they've lost their legs. And so mom will stand there or dad will stand there and hold them. Or, they're just, as they've lost their eyesight, they won't let me near their face or something. So when there is a behavior issue where in safety, where the parent can help, we have found that it's a very useful and helpful thing for the animal's well-being to have the owner standing there holding and talking to the dog while we are performing the groom as best we can.
Yeah, see, I'm house call.
Kind of concept.
So, I'm house call. I'm in the owner's home.
So there you are. Yeah, you're
and,
there.
So before I even book an appointment with an owner, I'm doing a lot of the talking points and stuff with owners so that they know what to expect. But I also tell owners, like, I'm going to coach you on what you can do to be helpful. But if you're not being helpful, if your dog's getting wound up, I'm going to point it out to you. And I'm not going to be shy. I'm going to be kind, but I'm not going to be shy because I'm here for your dog. Because sometimes owners are not helpful. They clamp down tight and chant, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And so sometimes they're not helpful. But I know for some people, they worry about that in their shop environments because of insurance issues, and having owners on their shop floor.
I asked my
around
insurance
other
guy
dogs.
about whether or not that was a problem, having anybody inside the shop, and he said absolutely not. Liability
Really?
is liability. If you've
Wow.
got liability coverage in
Liability
your
is
property,
liability.
Okay. See, I don't
Yeah.
own a shop, so I've
Yeah.
just had people say that that's one of their worries. I'm like,
I think that's an excuse people use. And if you want to have a reason to say to people, no, I don't want you in my shop. And I do, and I'm with you, Chrissy. I definitely coach people if they're going to stay and help me with their dog. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking through, here's what's going to happen. Here's how you best can help. Here's what I don't want you to do. Here's what I do need you to do. So that's definitely.
I
That's
also
all
think it really
under
does depend
behavior.
on how your salon or how your area is
Is laid out.
situated too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
You can't
that
always
is
do that.
that is my motto, and because I've seen and bless everyone's heart in the whole universe. I love all of you, but we have seen the stupidity. We have seen the ignorance. We have seen some things that we can't unsee. And I know that the general population, just wandering through my little shotgun area and in any salon that I've been in, they'll do some really dumb stuff. They'll reach into cages. They'll be petting things or talking to
Right.
the dogs. I mean, even if you tell them up front, okay, we're going to go straight to the back, no talking, no eye contact, no touching, whatever. Oh my, they're overwhelmed by the experience. They can't, and I can't. We're doing such delicate work that I just don't. But we do have a very open area that they could absolutely peer in and see everything that's going on, but they just are separate. And it's just easier that way. When you're walking dogs past each other, trying to get them out the front door or take them in at the same time, we're focused because you could have a fight, you could have something happen, and we can't have it. I can't have it.
I think there's kind of a hybrid model, because what I do with my owners most of the time is I tell them I would like for you to be in the room on the other side of that table, drinking a cup of coffee, and we're going to talk like this is the most normal thing in the world. And for a lot of dogs, that is very soothing.
Good.
That's enough.
So even if you're in your shop and you're like, okay, I'm going to work here really close to you over by the counter so that we can just continue to chat and your dog can hear your voice, and we're going to talk about how your kids are doing and, like whatever the conversation may be, because then they aren't necessarily reaching across your table. Because I don't want to nick an owner, but it's almost happened a couple times. How about that spot? How about that spot? They're reaching across the dog, and but to keep them in a safe place while allowing them to view everything that's happening, and also not worry about their safety. People, like Michelle was talking about, like people are going to reach in and like, oh no, don't worry, dogs love me, and they're
and I've tried it so many ways. Because I'm used to grooming where everyone can see what I'm doing, and I don't mind that at all. It doesn't bother me. I have nothing to hide. This is how I do it. This is how it's done. I'm happy with you to watch the process, but you can't interfere. You just can't, unless, and I always say that there's an exception to every rule, unless there is a special case. Then we arrange a special time where everything is quiet and he can come in. Sometimes I come in on my day off or Sunday or something like that. We just meet there and then we handle that business in a calm, confident manner. But man, it's just, there is no day that I just have downtime to mess with a situation that I could have avoided simply by laying down some solid foundational rules for client well-being in my salon and the well-being of the dogs. So,
well, I think sometimes also the clients don't understand that we have to deal with behavior that may not be the best behavior for that animal, and they may feed into that. Like how many times have you talked to a client and say, boy, the dog wants to bite at the air when I'm blowing them dry. They go crazy. They just want to snap. And that's dangerous because they can bite at you. They can catch that hose and blow their eyes out of the socket. I mean, there's lots of things that can happen, right?
Yes.
Or they could letting them attack the garden hose.
Yes. And that's the thing is that when you talk to the client and the vacuum, they say, oh yeah, when I blow dry my hair, they're in the bathroom and I blow it in their face and they snap at it. Or my husband takes the leaf blower and blows it at them.
Chases them around the yard with it.
Yeah, chases them, or the kids chase them with the vacuum. So you have to understand that a lot of
Hence
our
the problem.
yes, a lot of our job is to educate them as to change these behaviors because they are not safe within the confines of a grooming situation.
And
so
I want to say that directly exactly what you're saying, Melissa. It's dogs experience trauma just like people, and I think some people know that I have this other work and life where I work as a victim advocate, and I've had murders in my family. My husband's had murders in his family. It's how we've met. We're both national speaker teachers on victimization and trauma issues. My husband's a college professor with expertise in neurobiology of trauma, and has written a book. And so we talk a lot about the impact of trauma on people, but it happens to dogs too. Dogs get traumatic memories too. And so a lot of the things that they could behave badly about during a grooming could be triggers from exactly what you were describing, Melissa. They were
Absolutely.
tortured by the kids in their household, because the parents didn't know to make them stop.
Their neurobiology is similar enough to ours that they
Yes.
do believe that dogs suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder.
They do.
Right.
They will actually,
there's
like
actually
a
some
certain
really
sound,
good research about
a certain
these things.
smell.
Yeah.
Smells will trigger the trauma. Sounds will trigger the trauma. Certain, there's all sorts of things that will trigger a traumatic reaction. So you can't, as a
My
groomer,
dogs
take it
don't like
personally.
my bunny ears.
Yeah. You can't take it personally as a groomer that the
Right.
dog's just bad. The
No.
dog might actually have a real, genuinely behavior-linked, traumatic-linked
Yeah.
problem that's not the dog's fault at all, but there's just that it's a trigger to them. And so, sometimes just this safety, the focus on their safety, and I love to use swaddling and wrapping tightly in a towel and hugging and just holding dogs up close against my body and hugging. And now that I've had Melissa's class, I know more about how to stroke their heads and all that cool stuff. But no, it's really important to address them as if they are, if it looks like it's a traumatic reaction, it probably is.
Well, I think it's interesting too that we all, not all of us, I'm speaking in generalities, but it's assumed that when saying things like that, the verbiage of it, that the dogs have the ability to lie about their emotional state. They're absolutely can't.
They can't.
It's not
Right.
possible.
They can't.
They are
Yeah.
a raw nerve.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are.
Yeah.
So if they are doing something in that moment, it is absolutely 100% real. It's real.
Yeah.
To them, it is real because they just have a limited understanding about what's going on.
That's why they're better than people, by the way. They can't lie.
And I'm going to throw it out here because I'm a trainer and a behavior consultant, but there's an entire field out there of professionals who work on that.
Yeah.
So we have our
trauma and dogs.
veterinarians, we have our veterinary behaviorists, we have our behavior consultants, which is sort of the non-academic trade version. So the behavior consultants are sort of like master groomers. And then we have our professional dog trainers. And I find groomers are very often, I can't tell you how often it happens, where they're like, this dog needs to see a vet, or this dog needs to just come in for more grooming. But there's somebody else we can also send to and we can work with, because modern dog training is so much more than group obedience classes.
Right.
We have a lot of
Christy,
services that we offer.
Is there a difference? Because I work with someone locally that I always recommend, and she's a behaviorist. She's they're not licensed, but she had to take a test, and she's been doing it for a million years. But she's not a trainer. She deals in behavior issues, that kind of stuff. So can you explain that? Because I think that it's important as groomers that we actually build that network so that we can refer to these specialty people that that can help our clients. And what's the difference between a trainer and a behaviorist?
So in the United States, a behaviorist is academic. A behaviorist is a veterinary professional who went on to study behavior, or a PhD who went into animal behavior. They are our medical academics.
Yes.
But a behavior consultant is sort of the trade level much like master groomer. So at this point, I'm a certified behavior consultant, and there are parallel moves. There are other organizations that I can do, and there's so much more education I can get, but there's not a higher one for the trade level. But I think in terms of looking at the fields as parallel, right? Lots of fantastic groomers are not certified and are not master groomers,
Absolutely.
right?
Mhm.
So
Right.
we also need to kind of think about like, hey, can we talk? Because I have concerns about some of my grooming customers and the dogs what they need to know, because trainers are kind of unfamiliar with the grooming process, which is where it all falls apart. One of the things when I'm talking to trainers is I'm like, they don't really understand that we can't rely on nose targeting or chin targeting. Like I mean, I taught my dogs nose targeting, chin targeting, and I've never used it in their grooming. Like what we do is so different than what they're doing with like that lion who's getting a blood draw, and we just need to train further for the endurance run that's grooming. Grooming's an endurance run. I mean, I can count about 20 different foot touches. If we had to stop and clickers and treats every time we touched a foot, that's 20 different foot touches multiplied by 4, and so they need to understand more about it, but that's why we need to tell them what we need. I need this dog to be able to stand. I need this dog to be comfortable with tools and noises. I need this dog to be able to allow me to touch him anywhere with stuff and things. And I need him to be able to hold his brain together for about an hour and a half.
That is a really good description.
Yes, that is.
And then they start going an hour and a half.
And that doesn't even mention in the salon environment where other dogs are going around other dogs and other people and all sorts of chaos going on around them.
Yeah. It's definitely a specialty.
It
is
is.
a specialty. And if you can bring behaviorism to grooming, to me, those groomers are creme de la creme, because their animal handling skills are just so sweet to watch. You're like, wow, look at that connection. It's just like butter. It's just so easy.
I gotta say, I love it when
years to hone that.
I love it when I have a listener come approach me and go, trigger stacking. It all makes sense now, or sub threshold, or Lima. Why didn't I ever hear about this? And they're learning all this behavior tech talk and getting into it now. So, but I'm trying to get the same message out to trainers. Like, you need to think about dog grooming as its own separate dog sport, and respect it that way, because we wouldn't have agility trainers teaching obedience. Why are we having, other trainers teaching about grooming if they aren't spending time learning about grooming? Grooming is difficult. And if we teach dogs to be good for grooming, they're automatically going to be better for the vet. And they're automatically going to be better for other trainings.
And they're more focused for other things.
Yeah.
And I actually, we talked about this, I think it was last week or week before last, when we were talking about the puppy, how early training is so important. It's so critical. Just to get the word out to the general public that if you're going to get a dog, if they're, they are, as you say, Christy, they have to be groomed monthly for the rest of their lives. And they have to, if they're going to go into a salon or, or have a mobile unit or whatever that they're going to be regularly doing, they need to be started as early as possible. We let them come in and start smelling around in the shop and then immediately leaving with their owners as early as 8 weeks, as soon as they've had their first shots. It's really critical that they get exposed in those first couple of months. Once they've been weaned from their litter, and so the earlier the better is really, really important. And so then when you have people that don't start that grooming training until much, much later, and then the first groom is just this painful disaster because the dog hates it, and he's probably in horrible condition when he comes in.
There's a term in the grooming and the training industry, rather, which is all that early exposure is vaccinations for behavior problems.
Yeah, that's good. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
It's building all of that resistance to behavior problems later.
So what I had this 8-month-old Scotty that had never been groomed and was gorgeous, thick coat, beautiful Scotty, well bred, but a rock solid mat from head to toe. And I had been to the beach and swimming and having a great puppyhood, and then they bring it in at 8 months and say, groom my Scotty. And we all know Scotties are amongst the most aggressive and difficult to groom. And we just I just said I can't do a complete groom on this dog. They wouldn't even allow me to take a brush to him. So, and they ultimately wanted him hand stripped. So it was a step-by-step thing. So we just set out, and I'm kind of along the line of the 30-minute thing that one of our comments was talking about. We just did 30-minute sessions on once a week, on a little bit at a time. Started with the face and tried to move or the face and the back and move our way down.
We've got a
Can I
Scotty
ask
just
you-
like that too. And Lori's been kind of groomer Jen up there. It said that she has them or allows owners to bathe the night before, send them home with some product, and that way
Right.
the progression can be we're just going to do the good enough haircut and brushing for the and then add in the other parts. So we've done we've been doing that with a Scotty who was started a little late in life also.
So in the Northeast, especially where there's really not an unwanted puppy population, a lot of people are getting from rescues or from breeders, but they're getting dogs from rescue that are 4 or 5 years old. So if they weren't exposed young, it's not a deal breaker, but we need to bring the same patience level and the same kind of things that we do with a baby puppy to these
That's what I was gonna
adult
ask you.
dogs,
Mhm.
because if you're 5 years old, maybe you never have lived indoors. Like there's a lot that
Oh,
we
I
need
know.
to learn, and we're like doo-doo-doo, toss them in the tub and hope it goes well. We need to like really kind of scale it back and really be mindful of that. But it's not a deal breaker, that they didn't get it done early.
So
But I
do-
will
it
say
isn't a deal breaker.
sometimes
Depends
you
on
guys are listing ages like 7 months old, 8 months old, and a year old, and those are critical developmental phases.
Yes.
7 to 8 months old is the second fear imprint stage. It's like the worst time to do stuff like that, but that's often when we get them. 1 year old is the beginning of that like rowdy adolescent, but not only adolescent, but their frustration level is through the roof. They just can't even hold themselves in their own skin.
Right.
They're squirming around constantly. I mean, they're like, don't touch me. And we are trying to get something done because an owner waited till they were a year old to get them groomed. So sometimes we're hitting these critical developmental phases at the worst time and trying to push further than they can handle. But if you let go of the idea that I'm gonna push until I have trouble getting it done, instead think I'm gonna expand this dog's comfort zone and stop when the dog is having trouble with anything getting done.
Right.
It's not about how much I can handle. I mean, I could physically force them to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You could get it done.
Yeah, I could
Right.
get it done, but that would suck my soul. I've had that job.
Absolutely.
I don't want it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to commend Groomer Jen again. You're meeting the needs of the client. So many of us can be so critical sometimes. Say, well, I mean, that back end's got too many, and or too much thickness, and the front legs are spindly, or you didn't round the feet out, or what the bevel's wrong, or whatever. And that's fine because there's room for all of us on the spectrum. But this lovely person, I'm telling you, I've been pondering this for a few minutes, has met the needs of her clients, which is probably the most beautiful thing you can do in your job. Meeting the needs of the dog, meeting the needs of the client. That is wonderful. It's not good enough. It's just perfect for that situation.
And that's
good
how you
job on
build
that.
a
That's
wonderful
an amazing
clientele.
perception, how you approach your work. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And hi to Kat in the chat room. It was wonderful to see you, my dear Kat. And it is a request for you, Christy, in the chat room is, are there publications that break down these age phases? Is there any place that people can go for more information about these developmental stages?
Trying to think of where to send specifically. There are a lot of different places to find that. Maybe I can find up some links and add them into the chat on one of these later, or find some links.
Or
but
do
yeah,
you have a website or a Facebook group or anything like that?
I do. I have the whole podcast. So there's the Creating Great Grooming Dogs Facebook group for that.
Creating Great Grooming Dogs
Yeah,
Facebook.
that's the podcast
I'll
name.
go find it, Christy, and
Creating Great
for
Grooming
you.
Dogs, where I basically just 20 minutes every week, just try to cover some aspect of all of this. But yeah, there's a lot that we kind of take for granted that we know that other people just don't know. And the fact of the matter is, I've been grooming for a long time, and I still love it. I love to groom,
That's
and
nice.
that's part of what I want for everybody. Like the stress of working with animals that are having behavior problems. If you don't know how to solve that or work on that, that's where groomers burn out, and that's where groomers get hurt. That's when dogs get hurt. That's when equipment gets broken. That's when people just decide they're not going to do it anymore. And there are solutions. So, find the joy in understanding the behavior.
Boy,
Yeah.
that's a great place to wrap it up and say, wow,
I
that
was
was
just about to
yeah.
say that. That's a great place because I wanted to end only because I know Michelle has an update from our meeting last night. And so is there anything else before we cut you? And is there anything else? Anybody in the chat room that has any other questions? We'll give it a second.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me join in.
Oh, Christy, my God, you're awesome.
I appreciate it.
Oh, there goes White.
There's a kitty
I
cat.
know. He's like,
It's a cat.
he won't stop.
You can't
Handsome
see
cat.
him either. Your screen.
Cat. Love it.
He's see-through.
He insists.
He does. He does. He's not phased by the bunny ears at all.
Yes.
Unlike your dogs.
Yeah. they're
Meanwhile,
all
anyone who
barking
tuned
at
in
me.
late is wondering why there's a tiara and bunny ears.
Let him wonder. Give him something
I'm going to
to
go
talk about.
searching for something really cool for next week. I don't know how to top that.
So,
All right, when I see you in Hershey, we'll
Yes,
we did,
I'm going to be in Hershey. Melissa's going to be in Hershey. Chrissy,
I'm
you're going to be in
teaching
Hershey.
Jen,
Yay.
because the link for the meetings are in the private group. They're at the very top. You just go there and you click on it and put in the password and get in because it's easy, right, Jennifer?
Yes, not. Well, it's easy. It's easy when my computer is working, which it was not. I don't know.
Not in front
So,
of
Yeah, you
So
did
the
have
update is basically I have to finish the formatting of the document. It will be done this evening and available in PDF format. It will also be submitted to Amazon and hopefully be on their print on demand here shortly, so that your clients can order it. You could order it for your clients or whatever it is that you want to do, but the PDF is completely free. It will be posted also in the council private group for you to download or look at or whatever. And if you download it, you can send it to however many. We're also planning
is it going to be in the Pet Pro Educators Facebook group for the public to download?
Yeah, we'll
And
post
so-
it everywhere. Absolutely.
So if people don't know what this amazing document is, it's a collection of months of work by a very fabulous group of groomers that Michelle has organized that gives best practices. It's all science-based. It's all, there's all sourcing for why this is all correct information. It addresses issues ranging from anal glands to coat types to clipper work to safe practices. It's going to be an amazing, and it's all very digestible too. It's in a good format. You can just kind of read all of this great guideline information for best practices in our industry. It's really a stunning first.
And thank you so much for Michelle spearheading that. Thank you so much for what you've done for our industry.
My mission was to set out to educate the client and the groomers. I see so many little arguments on Facebook and on social media of all kinds of, is this the right way or is this not the right way? Well, we have a consensus now of a pretty fair amount of high level and lay groomers, I guess, for undergraduate groomers, if you're going to call them a master, I guess. So we had all kinds of voices come together on this, and not just in the private group, but many groomers have just messaged me and, brought attention to something that they were wondering about. So we all included all this. Everybody got to have their say. But if you have a master credential, you get to vote on the final matter. So it's not just one person saying, okay, this is what we're putting in here, and this is the right way. These are best practices. Everybody, there's going to be exceptions to every rule, but that's a nice baseline for best practices. And we put the reasons why. So it's not just don't do this, don't do that. It's a thorough explanation about what it is, why not to do it one way or to do it one way. That was arrived at by consensus of a board of master groomers with many years of experience. The publication itself will be coming out with every single person that's on our council, how many years they've been in, what their credentials are, and how to get a hold of them. It's very transparent. It was done very scholarly. It was a scholarly discussion. We left our emotions at the door. If somebody had an argument against something, then they brought the research to make their argument, and the other side was allowed to present, and then the council voted. So that's how we arrived at those best practices. It wasn't a matter of, somebody getting their way or somebody not getting their way. It was a consensus, which is what we should be trying to arrive at overall, nationally, internationally. We need to put our foot forward to further be recognized by the world of our profession and our beautiful industry.
And Groomer Jen is asking about where to get into this. Just go to the Pet Pro Educators and Facebook group, and in there, there's you have to apply to get with the paperwork. It's up in the file section of the Pet Pro Educators Facebook group. And then once you send that application to Michelle, then you get the invite to the private group. And it would be great to have you on board, Groomer Jen. Be great.
Absolutely. We welcome everyone. If you have friends in the next county, in the next state, in the next country, invite them. All voices are welcome.
I thought Groomer Jen was in the group already and had sent in her. Am I right? I'm just going to throw that out there if you can answer quick, because I thought I've seen you on some of the meetings.
Maybe
I know that Lori couldn't get in either and wasn't getting them because she wasn't added to the group since her application's been in. So I think that might be why so a lot of people aren't seeing those.
Oh, she said too. I think that also the meeting links are posted within that private group, right, Michelle?
Correct.
They're not getting emailed anymore. They're just getting posted. It's actually the same link over and over again.
Correct. It doesn't change.
Number.
Yeah.
Right.
The password changes, perhaps.
So I thought she was there.
If you're not getting what you should, just message anyone.
And not only that, if you are friends
Facebook.
with one of us, I believe Melissa or myself or Dara or Jennifer, they will actually invite you. You can invite them from the page itself. If you, all the application is making sure that you are in the grooming industry, or you're a trainer of dogs, or you have some framework in the industry. You work with dogs,
Katie's saying that she doesn't see it in the files. Whatever she was it the
see what in the files?
The application.
The application, let me see if I can go on and find it. So
It's
files.
Yeah,
you have to go under more. Go under more, where it says about, discussion, announcements, rooms, topics, members, events. Then it says more. Pull that down, and then you'll see files.
It's the board letter. It's the first Word doc.
And so, but you have to go under the little more pull down tab. Yeah. That's where it is.
Maybe we need to change the name of it.
Well,
Michelle, so that people know what that
file name, maybe.
Yeah, it's the Pet Pro Educators board letter.
Okay.
Oh, so
I don't know.
that's probably.
Can I change it?
Well, in the meantime, what are we doing for next week?
Next month. Okay,
Next
so
month.
we're starting. Yeah,
Starting
so
a
we're
month.
going to start September a month early because we're going to take a 3-day holiday for Labor Day.
Labor Day off, everybody.
Yes, we will be off on Labor Day, but next month, or so September, August 30th, we are going to jump into our September topic, which is power up your product knowledge. I know there are so many of you out there that have been waiting and dying for this. So we're going to be talking about ingredients and labels, shampoo, conditioners and sprays, muds and masks, and mixology.
And we might very
Yes.
well have a secret mystery guest that is so crazy amazing. High level, folks. We're getting
the highest. I can't wait.
yeah.
I'm
I get goosebumps.
fingers
It's
and
a mystery.
toes crossed.
It's a mystery wonder guest.
It's going to be amazing.
The mystery wonder guest, huh?
Mhm.
We're gonna keep it that top secret.
Wow.
She don't
That
want
way,
this
if it,
now.
if it falls through, nobody's disappointed.
Well, that's okay. We're gonna know. that it's
We're
gonna
trying to work it into the thing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, you'll have to share the link with the mystery guest.
absolutely.
Oh, and if I could put it in the quick plug about Hershey,
Yes.
and Chrissy, I hope you're going to be at this too. Anybody else who's there, the National Alliance of Grooming Associations, which is just a Facebook group. It's not a corporation or anything, but it is an alliance of all of the state grooming associations. Just because every state should have a state grooming association and many states don't, especially in this increasingly litigious environment that we're in, that where licensing and regulation efforts are being passed all around us that affect us and that we need to be ready for with documents like what Michelle has helped us create with best practices standards. So we are going to have a National Alliance for the Grooming Associations, just a meet and greet, a little bit of refreshments, and anybody who is in a state association or wants to start a state association for their state where there isn't one, or you would just want to know more about it and how
Do you want
grooming
me to post the
associations
link?
to NAGA, yes, to
NAGA,
the
yep.
National Alliance of Grooming Associations. That would be great.
And Catherine, it's not Christine Pearson. Christine Pearson, you're awesome, but think international.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
cool.
Okay, it's not our leadership one, Jennifer.
It's not to say, by the way, Kat, that we couldn't get Christine Pearson here. She'd be an excellent guest. That would be an excellent.
I got it.
I'm losing my backdrop. My dogs are wrestling against it.
That's a Bob's Burger thing.
I know. I'm like,
I love
it's
your backdrop
perfect.
tonight. The cute
it's
little
gonna come
cafe.
falling
All
down
right.
to me.
It's so cute.
There
Oh,
is
my
the
head in
link
a second.
for the National Alliance of Grooming Associations.
There you go. Perfect. I love your little cafe. Who drew your cafe? That's so
That's,
cute.
Bob's
it's,
That's from the show.
it's Bob's Burgers. It's a TV show.
Yeah.
It's a
Oh,
cartoon.
okay. Well, Chrissy,
Sorry,
you were
guys.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Very
I'll see you at
impressive.
Thanks
Hershey.
for joining us. Hershey is the next one, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hershey's in New England.
Mhm.
And then
Saturday night at 4.
In Dallas.
I'm coming to
Wow.
New England too, so am I going to come see you, Dara? We have to talk.
yes, you and
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Yay.
I'm so
Yes,
excited.
I'll be in New
Yeah,
England.
come spend
I,
the night.
I actually have a an online summit coming up with Christine. Speaking of Christine, with Christine Pearson, the illustrious Angie Coates, the amazing and wonderful Mary Aquendo. We are doing a groomers DIY, which is all about making your own stuff. So Angie's going to teach about making inexpensive giveaways and gifts that you could do for your clients. Mary has a couple of classes. Chris has a bunch of classes on clays and mixes and muds and all that kind of fun stuff. And then I'm doing feline friendly spa stuff, 2 hours on feline skin and feline spa. And then I have the canine stuff where I'm doing a bathtub mixologist. So where you
Awesome.
can mix up and make up all your stuff. So for those of you that
When is
like
that?
to do that, that's coming the 5th and the 6th. So it's going to be
Oh,
over
so
that
we're gonna be
holiday.
doing- we're going to be
But-
doing our mixology at the end of the month.
right.
That's
You're
great.
going to
You want to
do yours.
switch it?
No, it's fine. Let's do that.
Okay.
And then because we're doing it on the 30th, and then that next weekend is the summit, online
Okay.
summit. And the summit's
No, I was going to say
recorded.
I can move mixology up to the week after for you.
Oh, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be connected to her online summit.
It's fine. I could talk about that all day. I'm sure Michelle could too.
I know.
And remember, we're all going to be together at the Pet Pro Classic, which is
Yes, and the
the
Pet Pro
ISPC
Classic.
show in Dallas, October 21 to 24. Website petstylist.com to get registered for Dallas and see us all together.
And if
we're
you
gonna have to figure out how we're gonna do a live there.
That's going to be cool.
That'll
Yeah.
be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be really fun.
Oh
But
God!
if you
Can
got
together?
if you got your ballots for the Jennifer, help me, what are they called? The
Barkley
awards.
nominations.
Thank you.
yes.
Yes, the nominations.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm not soliciting for votes. I'm saying make
I'll
sure
solicit for you. Vote for Melissa.
sure
Vote
you
for
do.
for
Go for Melissa.
Speaker of
But
the
make
Year.
sure that you utilize that and you do vote, because that's important. There's a lot of people on there that have worked really hard to get noticed, and to be seen by their peers in the industry. So it's important, that we support the industry and support the people that are out there really trying to put forth some great effort. And I mean, I'm thrilled to be nominated. I'm just over the moon. I can't even believe it. I never in a million years thought that would happen. But
And you know what? As a former nominee for Up and Coming Speaker of the Year, not a winner, but nominee for sure, I can tell you, you're going to get that Barkley still, all of the nominees get a nice little sign to display in their businesses that you've been nominated, because that is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, it just is. It's so nice because you work so hard. So it's a nod from the people that you feel like you're doing this for.
Yeah.
For me, it's a huge part because that's my thing. I mean, I love groomers. I always have. It's just always been my passion, because I feel like we are the downtrodden. We're the ones that nobody always looks at us like, oh, you're a groomer. Oh, you're just a groomer. So, for me,
Stay in school, kids.
I think lately,
you.
I think
Yes,
lately,
that's
actually,
exactly.
people may be changing their minds about that.
Well, and that's why I'm like, get out there and support these people that are out there trying to make these changes in the industry. Join the Master Groomer Council, even if you're not a master groomer. Join a state, a state association. Get involved. Do things that are going to help bring this business, this career choice, this life that we've chosen to something more than a back room with dirty pets.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I just,
right.
I really want to make sure that everybody understands how important and how much all these ladies in front of me work to get this out there. So
everybody enjoy their Labor Day weekend.
Yes. Have a great weekend. We will keep you posted. I'll post everything.
And then we'll see everybody the Monday after, right?
Yeah. So it's going to be our next, will be the 30th, September 30th, and then the 13th.
Right. Okay. I'll be doing the summit over Labor Day weekend. So.
Yep. All right. Going to do our credits. See you guys
later.
Chrissy.
Congratulations, Melissa. Thank you, Michelle, for all you do. Thank you, Dara, for your wonderful hosting.
Jennifer. All right, guys. Let's